Marcus Hayes stayed late every Tuesday to help struggling students with their reading. At 28, he'd been teaching second grade at Riverside Elementary for 3 years, earning barely enough to cover his small apartment and student loans. But he loved it. Watching children discover the magic of words, seeing their faces light up when a difficult passage finally made sense, that was worth more than any salary. This particular Tuesday, Marcus was packing his bag when he heard it. Soft crying coming from the hallway. He stepped out of his classroom to find a little girl sitting against the lockers, her knees pulled to her chest, tears streaming down her face. She wore a pink dress with a floral pattern, and her light brown hair was pulled back in a neat ponytail that was coming loose. "Hey there," Marcus said gently, kneeling beside her. "Are you okay? Where's your teacher?" The girl looked up at him with blue eyes swimming in tears. "I'm in Mrs. Palmer's class." She had to leave. "My daddy was supposed to pick me up, but he's late." "He's always late." Marcus recognized her now. Lily Kingsley, the quiet girl from Mrs. Palmer's second grade class. He'd seen her in the hallways, always well-dressed but somehow sad, like she carried weight too heavy for such small shoulders. "I'm Mr. Hayes. I teach second grade too, just down the hall. Has anyone called your dad?" Lily nodded miserably. The office lady tried. She said he didn't answer. "She had to go home because it's late. She told me to wait here, but I've been waiting forever and I'm scared and I miss my mommy." Fresh tears spilled down her cheeks, and Marcus's heart broke. "When will your mommy be here?" "She can't come. She's in heaven. She died last year." Lily's voice was so small, so matter-of-fact about something so devastating. Marcus sat down beside her, not caring that his suit pants would get dusty from the floor. "I'm so sorry, Lily. That must be very hard. Daddy's always working now. He says he has to work a lot because he has important meetings. But I think he just doesn't want to be home because it's too sad without Mommy." The words were wise beyond her years, the observation of a child who'd been forced to grow up too fast. Marcus checked his phone. It was already 5:30. The school was empty except for them and maybe a custodian somewhere in the building. "Do you know your dad's phone number?" "Maybe I can try calling him." Lily recited the number from memory, and Marcus dialed. It went straight to voicemail. He tried again. Same result. "Okay," Marcus said, making a decision. "We're not going to sit here in this hallway. How about we go back to my classroom? You can draw or read while we wait for your dad. Does that sound okay?" Lily nodded, wiping her eyes. Marcus offered his hand, and she took it, her small fingers gripping his tight as they walked back to his classroom. He set her up at a table with paper and crayons, then tried the number again. Still voicemail. He left a message this time, explaining who he was and that Lily was safe with him in room 104. For the next hour, Marcus tried to entertain Lily while repeatedly calling her father. She drew pictures, mostly of a man in a suit standing far away from a little girl. Marcus noticed but didn't comment. Instead, he read to her, pulling out some of his favorite picture books, and was rewarded when she finally smiled at a particularly funny passage. "You're a good reader," Lily said. "You do different voices for the characters. My mama used to do that. Daddy doesn't read to me anymore. He's too tired." "Well, maybe he needs to be reminded how nice it is," Marcus said gently. "Reading is one of the best parts of the day." It was nearly 7 when Marcus heard footsteps running down the hallway. The classroom door burst open, and a man in an expensive dark suit appeared, his face a mixture of panic and relief. "Lily!" The man rushed forward, dropping to his knees and pulling the girl into a fierce hug. "I'm so sorry, sweetheart. I'm so sorry. My meeting ran late and my phone died and I came as fast as I could." Marcus studied the man. Mid-30s, dark hair slightly disheveled, designer suit that probably cost more than Marcus made in a month, and eyes that held the same deep sadness he'd seen in Lily's. The man looked up at Marcus, still holding Lily. "You're Mr. Hayes? You left the message?" "That's right." I found Lily waiting in the hallway. The office staff had already left. I didn't think she should be alone. The man stood, one hand still on Lily's shoulder. "Thank you. I can't tell you how grateful I am. This has never happened before. I mean, I've been late, but never this late. Never when everyone else was gone." "It's okay, Dad," Lily said quietly, but Marcus could hear the hurt beneath the words. "Mr. Hayes took care of me. He read me stories with funny voices, And I drew pictures. The man looked at his daughter, and Marcus saw guilt flash across his face. That's good, sweetheart. I'm glad Mr. Hayes was here. You should probably update your emergency contacts, Marcus said. Make sure the school has multiple people who can pick Lily up if you're unavoidably detained. The words came out sharper than Marcus intended, but he'd seen too many neglected children in his teaching career. Rich or poor, busy parents all made the same mistake, thinking their children would understand that work came first. The man's expression hardened slightly. I appreciate your concern, but I don't need parenting advice from a stranger. Dad, Lily said, tugging his hand. Mr. Hayes was nice. Don't be mean. The man's face softened immediately. You're right. I'm sorry, Mr. Hayes. That was uncalled for. I'm just stressed and worried. Thank you for staying with Lily, really. Can I compensate you for your time? I don't want money for doing the right thing, Marcus said. I stayed because Lily needed someone. That's what teachers do. The man studied him for a long moment, something shifting in his expression. What's your full name? Marcus Hayes. I'm Christopher Kingsley. He extended his hand and Marcus shook it, noting the firm grip and expensive watch. I owe you more than I can express. Is there anything I can do? Make sure Lily knows she's more important than any meeting, Marcus said, then immediately regretted his bluntness. This wasn't his place. This wasn't his family. But Christopher didn't look offended. Instead, he looked like he'd been struck. You're right, he said quietly. You're absolutely right. They left together, Lily holding her father's hand, clutching her drawings in the other. At the door, she turned back to Marcus. Thank you for reading to me, Mr. Hayes, and for doing the funny voices. It was like having Mommy back, just for a little while. Marcus felt his throat tighten. Anytime, Lily. You're welcome anytime. The next morning, Marcus arrived at school to find the principal, Mrs. Chen, waiting at his classroom door. Marcus, can we talk? He followed her into the empty classroom, wondering what he'd done wrong. Had Christopher Kingsley complained about his comments on parenting? I received a very interesting call this morning, Mrs. Chen began. From Christopher Kingsley. Here it comes, Marcus thought. The complaint from the wealthy parent. He wanted to know everything about you. Your background, your qualifications, how long you've been here. At first, I thought he was concerned about you staying with Lily, but then he explained something I didn't know. Christopher Kingsley is the CEO of Kingsley Enterprises. They're one of the largest educational technology companies in the country, and he called to tell me that he's making a substantial donation to our school. Marcus blinked. What? $1 million. For new technology, books, supplies, teacher salaries. He said it was because a teacher at Riverside Elementary reminded him what education should be about, caring for students as whole people, not just test scores. He said you stayed late with his daughter, not because you had to, but because it was the right thing to do, and it made him realize how much our schools and teachers are undervalued. Marcus sat down slowly. I just waited with her. Any teacher would have done the same. Maybe. But you also apparently gave him some parenting advice that hit home. He said you reminded him that his daughter needs him more than his company does. That's not something CEOs hear often. Over the next few weeks, Marcus watched as Christopher Kingsley's donation transformed Riverside Elementary. New computers arrived. The library was restocked. Teachers received raises. And most surprisingly, Christopher himself started showing up. He came to volunteer in Lily's classroom. He attended school events. He was there consistently, picking Lily up on time. And he always stopped by Marcus's classroom to say hello, to thank him again, to ask his advice on books Lily might enjoy. I've been doing it all wrong, Christopher admitted one afternoon, sitting in one of the small student chairs while Lily colored at a nearby table. After Rebecca, my wife, died, I threw myself into work. I told myself I was doing it for Lily, building financial security. But really, I was just avoiding the pain of being in our home without her, avoiding reading bedtime stories that Rebecca used to read, avoiding all the spaces where she used to be. Grief is complicated, Marcus said. There's no right way to do it. Maybe not. But there are wrong ways, and leaving my 7-year-old daughter crying in a school hallway because I couldn't be bothered to charge my phone or set a reminder is definitely wrong. You called me out on that, and I needed to hear it. Marcus was quiet for a moment, then asked, What are you going to do differently? I've hired a new COO to handle daily operations. I'm cutting back my hours significantly. Lily and I are going to family therapy to help us process Rebecca's death together. And I'm going to read to my daughter every night with funny voices the way her mother used to. That's good. That's really good. Christopher looked at Marcus with an intensity that was slightly uncomfortable. I want to offer you something. I have connections with some of the best private schools in the state. Better pay, better resources, smaller class sizes. I could make an introduction. Marcus shook his head. I appreciate it, but I'm happy here. These kids need teachers who see them, not just as students, but as people. Kids like Lily, who are dealing with loss. Kids whose parents work 3 jobs and can't always be there. Kids who don't have advantages but deserve them anyway. That's why I teach. What if I told you I'm starting a foundation? The Rebecca Kingsley Educational Foundation. It'll provide resources to underfunded schools, scholarships for disadvantaged students, and support for teachers who go above and beyond. I want you to help run it. Keep teaching if you want, but be involved in shaping the foundation's direction. Make sure we're actually helping kids, not just throwing money at problems. Marcus stared at him. Why me? Because you stayed late on a Tuesday to help a crying child who wasn't even your student. Because you gave a stranger uncomfortable but necessary feedback. Because you teach for the right reasons. Because my daughter draws pictures of you reading to her, and that's the first time she's drawn anything happy since her mother died. You showed me what I'd been missing. Let me give you the resources to show other people too. Marcus thought about it. About the teachers he knew who were burning out, working second jobs, buying supplies with their own money. About the kids who fell through the cracks because there weren't enough resources to catch them. About having the power to change systems instead of just surviving them. Can I still teach? You can do whatever you want. I'm offering you a platform, Marcus. What you build on it is up to you. Over the next year, the Rebecca Kingsley Educational Foundation became one of the most effective education nonprofits in the state. Marcus helped design programs that actually addressed teacher and student needs, not what bureaucrats thought they needed. He remained a classroom teacher 3 days a week and worked for the foundation the other 2, and he and Christopher became friends. Real friends, built on mutual respect and a shared understanding of loss and responsibility. Christopher and Lily became regular fixtures at school events, at Marcus's small apartment for dinner, at weekend trips to museums and parks. You saved us, Christopher said one evening as they watched Lily play on the swings. When Rebecca died, I forgot how to be Lily's father. I was just going through the motions, checking boxes, making sure she was fed and clothed, but not really there. You reminded me what it means to show up. You were grieving, Marcus said. That's human. You just needed someone to give you permission to feel it instead of running from it. Lily talks about you all the time. She told her therapist that you're like a dad who teaches her things. She asked if you could be her dad for real. Marcus felt his breath catch. What did you tell her? That you're her friend and mine. And that's pretty special already. Christopher paused. But Marcus, if you ever wanted to be more than a friend to either of us, I need you to know that door is open. No pressure. No expectations. Just honesty. Marcus looked at this man who'd been a stranger a year ago, who'd burst into his classroom in a panic and slowly, gradually become one of the most important people in his life. He thought about Lily, who drew pictures of the 3 of them together, who asked Marcus to read to her with funny voices, who'd told him once that she wished he could be her family. I'd like that, Marcus said quietly. I'd like to see where that door leads. They took it slow. Family dinners became dates. Weekend activities became traditions. Marcus met Christopher's late wife's parents, who welcomed him with open arms. Christopher met Marcus's large, chaotic family, who immediately adopted him and Lily into their Sunday gatherings. 2 years after that Tuesday evening, when Marcus had found a crying girl in the hallway, he and Christopher were married. The ceremony was small, just family and close friends, with Lily as the flower girl. She wore a pink dress and stood between them during the vows. Holding both their hands at the reception, Lily gave a speech that had been mostly her idea with some gentle editing from her grandmother. Mr. Hayes found me when I was sad and scared, Lily said into the microphone, completely unafraid of the crowd. He stayed with me even though he didn't have to. He read me stories and made funny voices and reminded me that being sad is okay, but you can't stay sad forever. And he helped my daddy remember how to be happy again, too. Now he's going to be my dad too, which means I get two dads, and that's better than one. Mommy would like him a lot. I asked her in my dreams, and she said he has a good heart. So welcome to our family, Mr. Hayes. Dad? I get to call you Dad now. Welcome, Dad. Marcus couldn't speak. He pulled Lily into a hug while the room erupted in applause and tried not to completely lose his composure. Later, Christopher found him standing alone on the terrace. Looking at the stars. Regretting anything? Christopher asked, slipping an arm around Marcus's waist. Not even a little bit. Just thinking about how strange life is. I stayed late on a random Tuesday. Found a girl who needed help. Made one phone call and one probably inappropriate comment about parenting. And somehow that led to all of this. You, Lily, the foundation, a family. It doesn't feel real sometimes. It's real. And Marcus, you didn't just help Lily that night. You helped me remember that success without connection is just emptiness. That being a CEO means nothing if you're failing as a father. You gave me my daughter back. You gave us both a future that felt worth living. That's not random. That's you being exactly who you are, someone who sees people who need help and doesn't walk away. Years later, when Lily graduated from college, she gave another speech. This one was at a gala for the Rebecca Kingsley Educational Foundation, which had expanded to serve thousands of students and teachers across multiple states. This foundation exists because a teacher stayed late, Lily said. Because he saw a crying child and didn't think it was someone else's problem. Because he cared more about doing the right thing than going home at 5 o'clock. That teacher became my dad. And he taught me that family isn't just about blood or money or obligation. It's about showing up. It's about caring when you don't have to. It's about making funny voices when you read bedtime stories and believing that every child deserves to feel loved. She paused, her eyes finding Marcus in the audience. Dad, you saved 2 lives that Tuesday. Mine and my father's. Thank you for not walking past me. Thank you for staying. Thank you for teaching me that teachers are heroes even when they don't wear capes. But most of all, thank you for becoming my family. You didn't have to, but you did. That's what real love looks like. Marcus sat beside Christopher, their hands intertwined, watching their daughter shine on that stage, and thought about that Tuesday evening so many years ago. About a little girl crying in a hallway. About a choice to stay instead of leave. About how the smallest acts of kindness can ripple outward in ways we can never predict. He'd been a poor teacher helping a crying girl after school. He hadn't known her father was a billionaire CEO. Hadn't known that one evening would change all their lives. He'd just seen a child who needed help and couldn't walk away. Sometimes that's all it takes. Seeing someone, staying with them, choosing to care when leaving would be easier. The rest writes itself. If this story reminded you that showing up for people matters more than any achievement, please like, share, and subscribe. Comment about a time someone stayed with you when they could have left. Those moments shape us. Those people save us. And sometimes staying late on a Tuesday changes everything.